Welcome back to the It's Time podcast. I'm Raya. That is I'm Raya. That is Kaylee.
And I'm Kayla.
Welcome to the show. I'm Kayla. It feels so much more intense right now.
It does. I feel like people are staring.
It's like, oh, we have we've been making upgrades, and now we have lights in the studio, and it feels hot, and I'm like, but I know it's not from the lights because they're LED.
Yeah.
It just feels like maybe it's a placebo effect. Like,
yeah.
There's lights on us. It's the
lights, camera, action. Crazy.
I don't know why. It's just like weird to do it in the morning. It like feels weird. Like
it does.
Is
feel
it even
different.
the morning anymore? Nope. It's noon.
Oh, is it? Whoa, exactly.
Noon on the doot.
On the doot.
Yeah,
it's just different.
Yeah, it's different. Today we're gonna do a little fun catch up, and then we're gonna. Every time I say catch up now, I think of that.
You hear the TikTok?
Yeah, I think of the TikTok.
Catch up.
Catch up.
How do you say it? Catch up.
And then today we're gonna talk about Europe. Well, not Europe.
Woo!
I guess I say Europe because that's our personal
That's our
experience
plan
right now. But really just in general, traveling on a budget. We credit ourselves with being really, I think we're professional budget travelers. And when we've
only done it once, soon
but
to be
we're
twice, but we feel like we're really good at it.
I feel like we're really good at it. And whenever I tell people how much we spent on our last trip, people are shocked because usually when you tell people you're budget traveling, that means you're staying in hostels with rooms with like 12 other people, and you're having just the backpack that, and like things like that. But we travel and we stay in Airbnbs, and we take a piece of luggage, and it's still on a budget. And
honestly, when really we're there, we like say yes to the things. Like we want another drink, we get another drink.
Yeah.
We
We prep so far in advance and do it so well that we're able to do that when we're there. And that's kind of like the goal of it is to... My mom is calling me.
Mother?
Hold. Hello?
So nice. My mom called me this morning and I ignored it.
Yeah, I'm here. We're recording the podcast. Well, that was my mother. But yeah, so we're going to get into all our tips for budgeting.
Yee.
And how you can travel without being rich.
Because let me tell you, we ain't rich.
Not I. But let's do some catch-ups.
Ooh, we have good catch-ups this week.
We had a good night last night.
We did have a great night last night.
Mm-hmm.
Did anything interesting happen before last night? I went on a date and it was accidentally someone that I went to high school with.
We've been having, you've been having a lot of not like you've been going on a ton of dates, but it's like.
I've been on two, but pretty recently, so it feels like I have updates.
A part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah, no, nothing too interesting, but we both matched, did not recognize each other. Casually mentioned where I went to high school, and he was like, me too.
And I matched with him too, which is so funny.
And so did our other friend. So he's got good taste.
True. But it's funny that we both went to school with him. He didn't recognize either of us.
Either one of us, yeah.
Which we didn't recognize him, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it's just weird how that works. It's weird when you're in the same town that you grew up in.
Yeah.
As an adult, and you're dating, and the chances of, I mean, it's like we're in a city, so what are the chances? But then
Portland's so small though.
And then literally that happens.
And then it happens. Yeah.
And all the same people.
All the same people.
So what are you gonna do with that whole thing?
I know we're very slowly texting back and forth. So I'm like, maybe it'll just fizzle out. Maybe I don't have to. Because we talked about this last night. I try really hard not to be a ghoster. I try to just send the quick little message that's
yeah,
hey.
Everyone appreciates a text, even if it's not what you want to hear. It's always better to get a text, or at least, rather than getting ghosted. Getting ghosted's the worst.
Yeah, so there's that. Anything else interesting happened to you before yesterday?
I met a DILF at a baseball game.
Oh my God! Wait, yeah. No.
Which is like, it's like not even, I don't even know like what's the point of the story. It's like stupid, but
no, actually, it's funny. You should tell it.
I don't even know what the story is. It was like we went to a minor league baseball game and it was super fun. We were having a great time.
Yeah, we had a fabulous time.
I think that there was like the rose-colored glasses on of like there was this like kind of older guy. He was like good looking.
Yeah, before you knew anything, he was just like the mysterious, knowledgeable about baseball, good looking older guy.
And then the beautiful image was shattered into a million pieces.
Worse than the ick. She texts me and she's like, Kaylee, I have the ick so bad. And I'm like, that's beyond ick. Ick is not a big enough word.
He did send me 2 selfies in a row. He went to the same baseball team the next day. And I can't even explain to you how bad the selfies were. But I can. Because, you know, when, like, a 40-year-old...
And she doesn't mean bad and, like, bad looking.
No. Like, he's a good-looking guy. But, like, when it comes to technology and stuff, or social media, and they show their age,
it's cringy.
It's so cringy.
Has there ever been a week where we both had some kind of dating update?
My dating update was it was over before it began. So that was that. God, it was so bad. That's pretty much the craziest thing that happened. Well, no, the craziest thing was last night.
Oh my God, last night was wild.
We had the best time. Well, we were at the baseball game when Rachel...
Shout out to Rachel!
Was like, yeah, Avril Lavigne is this Sunday. And then next thing we know, she's like having tickets for us at Will Call.
Which feels cool.
So cool. And they were good. They were good ass seats.
And we like sat there for All Time Low and had so much fun.
And I got a tooth gem. It was like the most fun.
Oh my God, I forgot. I literally have not seen it since yesterday.
We were just having so much fun before the concert even started. And then All Time Low was so fun. Didn't know half the songs, but it was just the vibe.
Yeah, we were just waiting for Dear Maria.
And then it's All Time Low is over and it's almost time for Avril. And then we get a fucking text from Rachel. Do you guys want to be in the pit?
We finna be in the pit. Definitely the closest I've ever been to like a high production concert. Like, well,
it was to the point where I jumped probably 5 feet in the air because the cannon went off like right in my face.
She was a cartoon character.
It was like terrifying. They really need to have a warning for that because for all I knew, it was a fucking bomb.
Yeah.
And so many people were fucked up.
So many. Oh my God.
It was like music festival level. Like, this is a concert.
I mean, at least 3 people got carried out.
They couldn't walk.
Wheelchaired out of the pit.
Fucking insane.
I do feel bad. That one girl seemed like she could have been having some kind of medical like she seemed like she was passed out, not like
it didn't seem okay.
Drunkenly passed out.
We made Avril laugh. Like,
we did.
Believe us or not, she literally was right in front of us. We were just like making faces at her or whatever, and
just
she
being us.
Yeah, just being us. And then she like pointed and like as she was singing like laughed, and then like it was just crazy. We were jumping up and down for hours.
Yeah, I'm surprised my calves aren't sore today, honestly. We did walk back into the house like literal grandmas.
Though. Oh, we were stumbling in, not because of the alcohol.
Yeah, no.
Because of our
sober
Sally. Backs and our knees and our
My knees were throbbing driving home.
God. You really feel your age after a concert.
It's really do.
Don't think I felt like this when I was younger.
Nope.
Things are starting to change.
Yep.
Things are getting a little different. But yeah, it was so fun. Anything else?
Then we ate Taco Bell and we woke up and
we watched Shrek 2.
We did watch Shrek 2.
It was a vibe. Yeah, and then...
We thought everything was so funny last night.
Yeah, we were just in one of those moods.
Yeah.
So yeah. Shall we talk about Europe?
So that's that. Let's talk about Europe, please.
Well, I keep saying Europe, and like this doesn't necessarily mean Europe, but you can do this in other places.
Yeah, applicable to anywhere.
Actually, you can do this in other places for cheaper, because Europe isn't necessarily the cheapest place to travel. Yeah. Europe has just been.
Top of our list.
Really aligns with the way we want to live life. Mm-hmm. The lifestyle and the places we like to visit are hand in hand. Like, that's the lifestyle we enjoy. Walking everywhere slow, talking with people, trying new food, like trying new drinks, like architecture, art, culture, the people, the music.
Slow,
like,
social life.
Mm-hmm. So a little backstory or background. So before 2 summers ago, when we went to Europe together for the first time, I had only gone one time before, but it was study abroad, so a very different
experience.
Type of travel where I'm really not planning it. You're going on a program. So 2 summers ago was our first time going to Europe in that way and together. Planning everything, doing it all ourselves. And so
really being financially responsible for it.
Yeah, I think
because I'd imagine study abroad is like, this is how much study abroad costs.
Oh yeah, it's
and then
tuition. You pay tuition and
then you need money to spend while you're there. But this was like we were financially responsible for our vacation.
Everything and planning everything, and we weren't doing like tour, like a 4-day tour, like none of that.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of think we had in our situation, like not having families who take you to Europe. Growing up, you have, like, I think it benefited us in the sense of, like, we had no specific expectation. We were very much like, we're going to do whatever we can to go to Europe and whatever that looks like. And there was none of that, like, oh, well, I've traveled this way and I want to do it like this. I have to be in a hotel and I have whatever.
You're like, yeah.
So neither of us had that. And we're both very much on the same page. And we both learned on the last trip that we travel in the same way, which is great. Because
thank God.
That could be okay. I'm sorry, but
I know he's so cute right now.
Oh my God! What are you doing? But yeah, so last time we learned a lot, but when we actually did really well for it being our first time, like most of the things that we did last time we are doing or have done this time planning.
Yeah, I don't think we had any like big oopsies. Like, damn, we really shouldn't have done it that way. Just like it's more like we learn tips and tricks or versus like
okay, next time let's plan this X amount of time ahead or whatever.
Yeah,
like little things, but we did really, really well last time, so that's kind of like we are taking that model and using it now for the future. And like when we have told people, like when I've told people how much we spent last time, they can't even we did like over 2 weeks in Europe for this amount of money, including the flights. People are like, what the fuck? How do you do that? And no, we're not staying in. Did I already say all this? No, we're not staying in hostels with like 12 other people. No, we're not just backpacking. We have luggage. We have a carry-on. We have. We're staying.
Not that we're anti those things.
No,
it just
It's just like if you are someone who wants to do it on a budget, but kind of has certain things like staying in hostels are great, and we actually will be staying in a few. We'll get into that, but.
I think some people have an image that it's like you do this on a budget and it has to look like this.
And it has to look like one way.
And it doesn't.
And being like, if you're woman traveling with women or if you're solo traveling, like it's not necessarily ideal to be in a room with 12 other people.
The safest option.
If it's not all women or whatever, like they're,
And people have great experiences, but for our peace of mind, that's like not the ideal.
No.
We're taking a trip this summer. 365 days ago, the two of us did not have like a dime to our name. So like that's how on a budget we can do this.
I mean, I think if you have $2,000 to $4,000 that you're able to like stack up, you can do a month in Europe.
And that's not
nice.
We're not saying that's not nothing. Obviously that's money.
Yeah. It's a lot of money. But compared to what
I think people spend that on flights.
Yeah. Once we're there, we're yes people.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to do it, we usually do it, unless it's something.
That's why we try
outrageous,
to be really intentional about saving, because we want to get there and like not have to think
and then with
that.
all the planning and prepping with flights and accommodation, we take so much time to do it so we can be that free when we're there.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps changing position and it's like so
I don't think
cute.
I've ever seen him sleep like that. Like Are we talking about you? So I guess technically you could save another couple hundred if you're not like such a yes person.
True.
When you get there, like go to the grocery store, eat a little bit more in your place versus eating out all the time, or
which is definitely, let's just start there. That's one of our top.
Well, let's start with what we learned
last time.
Okay. I think like probably the biggest thing we learned last time was buying your hopper flights in advance matters, like flights between places in Europe. Because when we originally looked, I don't know, probably February, March on our last trip, we were like, oh, wow, these are so cheap. They're $27 or whatever. We were like, we'll just take care of that later.
Yeah, no stress. We
and then they
a
turned
little
into
too
like
long.
$100-something.
What else did we learn on our last trip?
I actually think we did a good job of this, so maybe we learned from actually successfully doing it. Prioritizing buying tickets for the events that are like must do's for you.
Yeah.
Like if you're okay with the chance of not doing it, then that's fine. Wait and see later on. Like maybe you want to wait and see if you've like checked enough things off your list and if you'll have time or whatever. But like last time we really wanted to go see a musical, so we bought those tickets in advance. We really wanted to go to the Harry Potter tour.
Yeah, and
we booked that in advance.
We're really into like we're pretty organized when it comes to anything, but especially with traveling, and so we kind of like plan around those things. Like we want to do this specific tour. What's the best time to do this tour? That's booked on that day. How do we plan the day around it?
Yeah,
it's just a ripple effect, and then it makes your trip better, and then you just end up saving money when you do things ahead of time and not last minute. Like things last minute, I didn't know how long it was going to take to get here. Now I have to buy an Uber. That's $20 more than I would have spent on the metro. Like it's a ripple effect. Like I promise.
The ticket costs $20 extra bucks, or like
if you don't pay ahead online, or like
TikTok is your best friend.
TikTok is your best friend.
Oh, I'm so glad we started traveling post TikTok era.
TikTok research before you go. Everything.
And when you think you want to go somewhere, like just start making a collection and save TikToks of that place. Yeah, and that's how we start kind of planning our day-to-day itineraries. Only when we're in like a jam-packed place. Like Paris, we're not there for long. So we're really trying to like plan our days. But like I make a whole spreadsheet and basically like she sends me TikToks of things she wants to do. I look at all the TikToks I have and I just make a list of all the places. And I like color code like must do, want to do if there's time, like, and then it helps us kind of plan our days.
It's super
helpful. Did we mention we're organized? We love a balance of like organization and spontaneity. Yeah. So when we mean like we're planning to a T, we're talking like we land here at this time, like what is the transportation we're taking? How do you get to that place? How much does that ticket cost? Do we buy a reusable ticket? Do we buy a one-time ticket? Do we like that kind of meticulous?
Right. Doing your due diligence, really. It's like what type of planning is going to help you not only like save time and money, but stress. So if you are kind of new, we have from our last trip, we do travel episodes and we recap each place we go. And the Italy one is like 2 parts. But there were some intense stress moments in Italy.
Wait, I'm going to have to go back and re-listen.
Yeah, we had a few. There was like
Pompeii.
We didn't do it like, and we said after Italy, we should have done more research for Italy. Remember? Because like, especially with public transportation, we were like, oh, we get to the airport, we'll just take this to go here. And then we're going to take the train to go to Naples. When we got to Italy, the train was booked. We couldn't get out of the airport. There was a taxi strike. We couldn't get a taxi. The Uber app was like over $100 to get an Uber. We were like, we have this much time to get to this train station on the other side of the city to get on the
Oh my God, I'm like forgetting all these
to get
details.
To Naples. Yes. And then we get to Naples and like we're I'm getting stressed like talking about it. We had to get an Airbnb last minute because we didn't have one booked and like we weren't even sure where we were going to stay. So
that was going to be like our one, let's play it by ear
Let's be
thing.
Spontaneity.
Which I guess that leads into
so yeah, go listen
our
to this.
next one. There's a time and place for spontaneity.
Yes.
We love being spontaneous.
Yes.
And
we had a good amount of it.
Maybe not with where you're staying that
accommodation, night. I don't think you should do that. We were like, oh my God, this is going to be so fun.
Maybe not with getting
what
from
if we
point
end up
A to
sleeping
point B?
On the beach? We're like, what?
Oh, we literally... No.
How stupid are we?
We were fully under the impression we were going to take this train to Naples to get to Pompeii because... One, we wanted to see Pompeii, but it's super close to the Amalfi Coast. So we were like, oh, we'll just take a little train over to the Amalfi Coast. A worst case scenario, we like sleep on a beach in Positano. Like, Bummer.
And then we find out it's impossible to fucking get to the Amalfi Coast.
It's like so hard.
The hardest place to get to.
It's so difficult to get there.
And taxis are like at least €100. Like and there's no public transport unless you take a bus through the mountains, which would take like 2 hours.
And some taxis like wouldn't even take you there. Mm-hmm. We were like in our Airbnb calling. We
were like, yeah. So
there's just a time and a place.
There's a time and a place. Accommodation probably isn't it unless
what you're doing for the day? Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and like don't get so. We are really organized when we plan ahead, but we don't let that get in the way of like if something was to come up.
We're not tied to an itinerary.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where London, we have success.
We let ourselves like. We had one of the best nights ever because we were planning on going to bed because we had a flight in the morning, but we ended up meeting people who were going out and we were just like, okay, let's go. Like we didn't even think twice.
No.
There was no conversation. I mean, make sure whoever you're with, you're on the same page. You never want to make someone feel uncomfortable, but we were on the same page. And so
I don't even think we had to have a moment of like looking at each other. We just were like, do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? It was just like,
yeah, we're doing
we
this.
knew we were.
This is going to be fun as fuck. So like that type of spontaneous, go all in, like let yourself just like being safe at the same time. Mm-hmm. But that type is good.
And maybe that particular type really set a lot of alarms for the next morning.
We almost missed our flight.
If you want to know that drama, go back and listen to the London episode.
Highly recommend going and listening to all of our travel episodes. And we will do all travel episodes for this trip when we get back as well.
God. I'm going to go back and listen to them.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Me too.
Okay, next two kind of go hand in hand. Both hostels and trains are not quite as cheap as you think they would be. Or at the very least, like depending on location. Hostels can be super cheap if you're willing to do the 12 person or mixed gender, or like if we're going to stay in a hostel, it needs to be a smaller room. It needs to be all female. Like we have a lot of requirements and that doesn't necessarily lead to being a cheaper option.
And like when you're growing up and people talk about backpacking in hostels, like I swear what I like heard growing up was like, oh my God, you could pay $10 and stay at a hostel and it's so cheap. And like, it's really not that cheap for one. Well, and even if you do the 12 beds.
I've seen a lot of TikToks as of lately that are like, that's a post-COVID boom. Mm-hmm. Over the last 3 years, hostels have gotten like exponentially more expensive.
Yeah, it's the time that we're in and that's why. But then you also have to think like there are always additional costs. So like you have to take time to compare prices between hotels, Airbnbs, and hostels. And then thinking about, okay, at a hotel.
And Vrbo, VRBO, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Look at all the sites.
Whatever short-term rental site you're looking at. Like, look at them all and cross-check. Because at a hostel, sometimes even showers will cost, like, not like a ton of money. It'll be like €1. A towel costs €2. Mm-hmm. You need to pay for bag storage during the day. That could cost whatever. So that adds on top of it.
Maybe you don't have like a locker for passports and things like that. You have to pay for that.
Yeah. So that you have to count, okay, there will be additional prices. Are all these additional prices going to be the same as what an Airbnb would cost? You should probably just get the Airbnb.
Or close enough that it's like, well, I'll spend a little extra money and not have to jump through all those hoops.
Yeah. And then you get a private room and a private bathroom. So you have to like do that, do your due diligence and cross compare. And then also I know a lot of people prefer hotels because you're not paying all the fees that you are on Airbnbs. But with our research, we had never really found a hotel that was.
We've never found one that's been comparable.
I'm sure depending on, like it really just depends on location and where you're going. But that's why you just have to cross check everything and check for the extra fees on top. Like what else are you paying for at a hostel? Because you're like when we go to a hostel in Scotland, we're going to have to pay €2, which is fine for a towel, you know, things like that, which we
where
did
we're
our
going in Scotland, everything else is so much more expensive. Then it's like, okay,
it's so much cheaper.
If I have to pay my €2, then we're good.
Even with the extra, and the location is unbeatable. So we're not like with all the cross-checking, we'll be staying in a mix of Airbnbs privately, Airbnbs in somebody's home, and hostels.
Sharing the home.
Hostels, we're also doing a private room hostel and a shared room hostel. So this just shows that we do whatever makes sense financially and how we feel safe.
Another thing we learned is like, wait, what does this say? Oh. How important it is to practice at least the basics of a language. Which I feel like we've actually talked about a little bit on here. But for whatever reason, when we went to Nice last time, we like thought knowing French was going to be no big deal at all. We were like, this isn't.
Yeah, I don't know what we were thinking.
I don't know why we thought that at all.
I think we just didn't think.
Yeah.
Really. Like, which is interesting because we are the type of people that are so self-conscious about being like those Americans in other countries and being as respectful as we can. I just think we didn't realize, like, in our heads, South of France is such a touristy area, which it is. But where we stayed,
we didn't know enough about where in particular we were staying. So we were like a 20-minute walk to a spot where everyone spoke English. So
we literally had to Google when we were there, do you speak English? Like, that should be at least,
at the very least,
what
do
you
speak
learn.
English?
In every language, every place you're going, do you speak English? You need to know that. Like, if you don't know the language, you need to know that.
Please, thank you. Hi, goodbye. Do you speak English?
Yeah. And it's just a respect thing. Like, you're going to someone else's country, you should not expect them to speak your language. That's just the most arrogant. And they probably do, but don't assume. Expect it. Like, that is so. That's why you ask in their language if they speak English. And if they do, you're already a step ahead.
So those are kind of like the things we learned were really important last time. But I feel like we also have just like.
We have so many tips.
Some good tips.
Yeah, let's
and
through
tricks.
Some.
I'm trying to go like kind of in order of what makes sense. Like, start by getting a good travel credit card. We've definitely talked about that on here before. We both have the Delta SkyMiles American Express, and we really like that. But you might need to play the game a little too, because when you sign up for one, you want to make sure they're offering you some kind of bonus. That was part of the reason why we both got this credit card, because we got like...
There's a sign-on bonus that was good.
Thousands of points when we signed on. But it takes you time to rack up those points. So once you've spent all your bonus points, you might want to look into like signing on somewhere else.
Or upgrading.
And starting a new. Yeah, or upgrading. That's what we did this time. So start with a credit card. And then once you've racked up some points, work backwards based off of your price point. We've done that both times now. This trip was originally supposed to be UK and Ireland.
And maybe Amsterdam or something.
Yeah.
We were kind of talking. But we were talking about a really in-depth UK.
Yes.
A shit ton of cities in
that
the UK
is
and
absolutely
Ireland.
Not what's happening now.
Not.
Because we worked backwards based off price. So
well, we literally sat, I think we were either together or on FaceTime.
We were on FaceTime for hours
and
one night.
I'm not kidding you, checked flights from Portland and Seattle to every single European
city. We were literally looking at a map of Europe going, let's try this city.
We'd move to a different country, find airports, and literally check what's the price. And then, I mean, I'm not kidding, like cities in Iceland, cities in Sweden, cities in Portugal, like any place you could imagine.
And then even then it was like, Iceland was...
that was such a creepy...
What were we saying just now? Oh.
Checking all the countries.
So then even then it was like, it was really cheap to fly into Iceland, but then we had to consider how expensive it is to be in Iceland. So it didn't really like
and even
balance
like,
out.
Oh, like even checking.
What is he doing?
He's
so cute right
we
now.
even checked like, okay, if a flight to Iceland is this cheap and we did like a layover in Iceland for 12 hours to get this like kind of cheap route, could we do something in 12 hours that would make it worth our while?
Yeah.
No? Okay, move on. Things like
hours.
And it's just so worth it.
And if you're in a city that like there's another major airport nearby, do that. Yeah. So like she said, we checked Portland and Seattle. Huh. So our free flight is coming home. It's Dublin to Seattle. Which kind of sucks. Coming home, we're going to have to take the train back from Seattle. But, I mean, we got a free flight.
Yeah.
So that's a win. And we had no intention of going to Paris.
None.
But it was $500 to get there.
I think a little under,
so cheap
right?
Compared to everything else.
And it was like the cheapest. People are like, oh, and I'm like, well, when people ask, I'm like, well, we looked and Paris was the cheapest place to fly to out of any city.
Like, by a decent amount, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Like, it was kind of a no-brainer.
I think by at least like
we're
a
going to Paris.
$200 jump at least.
Yeah.
Like, the jump was pretty decent.
And hence, that's how, like, our UK and Ireland intentions fell apart. But it's for the best. We're so excited about what's happening now.
And
so work backwards based off that. That's how we could have tried to get back on track, add Paris in there, and then go UK Ireland. And then
we really wanted to go to a beach.
We were like, wait, we want a beach. So then we had to figure out what's the cheapest beach.
We talked about like Ibiza, Barcelona, Portugal.
Mallorca.
And then we came across Malaga. Like,
I don't even think I knew it existed before we.
No, like it wasn't really a city I had heard about.
Yeah.
But it's like a super famous city, so don't go by us.
Yeah, don't take our.
It's like once we did a little more research, we were like, oh, there's like a full on like Van Gogh music. Like, yeah. It's a famous place, but it's fun though because we didn't know much about it, and now we're gonna learn. And
we're both most excited for that. It's hard to say most excited because everything's exciting for a different reason.
So amazing, but there's just something about a European beach city. It's just
we're both water signs.
Yeah, we're water signs. We're water people. Like having the ocean involved in a trip like this was important to us, and not the ocean on the UK because it's just
because
it's a little different.
As much as this is a vacation, whether or not you're relaxing, like it is. But when you're like, let's take our last trip as an example, like London and Rome, there was no relaxing really happening. Like you're running around the whole time. And that's a vacation in its own way.
Like we will not go to a city and just like, unless that's like that's the point. Like
that's the point of a beach city. So you can like live a slower
we're going to Paris
life.
We're going to see everything there is to see.
We're going to Paris for less than 3 days.
So best believe we're going to do it.
Yeah, we're going hard.
Going hard.
So that kind of goes hand in hand with the next one, which is be flexible with your destinations. I don't know how to travel on a budget with strict destinations.
You can't be like, I'm 100% going here and then expect
that it fits all your.
Yeah.
We talked about this already, how important it is to cross-check all of the possible places you can stay. Like, don't just look on Airbnb. Look on Vrbo, VRBO, whatever you call it. I still don't know what it's called. Oh. Look at both of those. Look at hotels. Look at hostels.
World.
Look at all of the things before you decide on something, because who knows, you could save 100 euros a night. Like,
that's really the thing too, is like every euro matters, or every dollar or whatever, wherever you're going matters. Like, we will take like 20 euros a night on an Airbnb, and that comes into play with our decisions. 5 euros a night on it, like every single thing,
because that's matters. What allows us to be like, yeah, let's get another drink, yeah, let's go to a show.
All of that money counts. Like, you can't be willy-nilly.
Yeah. Back to credit cards. Like, use your credit card while you travel, and you might need to upgrade to, like, when you're getting one, make sure that you're getting the one that has no international fees. So on our last trip, I had one with no international fees. Mariah didn't. So, like, we used my.
And then after each location, we went through the spend, and
which was kind of a lot. So would not recommend.
Yeah, I would like figure this time we're gonna have like a dedicated card.
Yeah, this time both of our personal credit cards have no international fees, and then I have another one that doesn't. So it's like anything we buy individually, we'll put on our own cards. And anything we split will go on that one card.
And it'll be dedicated.
So at the end of our trip, we could just be like, okay, total 50-50.
And then we'll be able to keep track of finances even better. Track budget for the next time.
Because, you know, when you haven't looked at money for a while and you like know it's going to be a lot and it's like such a chore. Like, I remember one night in Nice being like, okay, we have to figure out the money now.
Yeah, we were sitting on the Airbnb bed, like running through all the spend.
Yeah. It's just a chore. Utilize your flight time so you can like hit the ground running. This was really hard for us last time because our flight had no air conditioning. So it was like really hard to sleep, really hard to relax. But like, bring some wipes, wipe down your space so you can like really set up camp, have a portable charger, like know what your entertainment is going to be, have a couple drinks, take a gummy, whatever, put on your face mask, go to sleep.
Well, and it depends though on, so like, whatever time you're flying, you're on the time of wherever you're going to be.
Yeah. So, let go of your home time zone.
So if it's daytime, which I wouldn't recommend, I would recommend getting to a place in the morning so you can sleep the whole flight. But if it's daytime in the place you're going while you're on the plane, try not to go to sleep. So it really just depends on the time frame of where you're going to, because then you're going to already beat jet lag a little bit. But last time and this time we're getting there this time we're getting there midday, but still we want to be awake, ready to go right when we get there, hit the ground running. So we need to be sleeping on the flight to beat jet lag.
Yeah. Don't check a bag. Don't check a bag.
Such a waste of money. You don't need to do that.
It's so expensive. It'd be one thing if it was like $25 or whatever. But it's not.
It's not. And then each flight you do within Europe, you're paying.
Yeah, and each airline has different rules and different fees.
You know how many people lose their fucking luggage? I'm not messing with that. Yeah. I'm not risking losing my luggage. And
yeah, how many flights are we going to be on?
No, I'm not doing
2.5 weeks. A lot.
And it's like
the risk is high. We both are like super into how we dress when we're in Europe, and we managed to make it work with a carry-on and a personal item. With that being said, if you're traveling with a friend and you're like similar sizes, or even not, like you could still share accessories or things like that. But like we're similar sizes, we can have similar styles, so we share clothes.
Really helps.
We're gonna try one of those apps, those like closet apps, where you can upload all of your clothes so we can see like who has what.
And then too, like if we're both bringing like pretty much the same skirt, only one of us needs to bring it. Yeah. Chances of us wearing it at the same time.
Yeah, that's great if you both want to own it. But only pack one.
Only pack one.
Yeah. So that helps a lot.
These little things help. Trust. Like it all is a ripple effect. I truly believe that.
And if you can, I think for our sanity, what worked really well for us was trying to fit all of our clothes in our carry-on so that our personal item could be strictly organization.
Organize that personal item to a fucking T.
Yes.
Like that to me is the most important thing to organize. Like that needs to be everything.
Yeah. Where are my travel documents? Where are my toiletries, makeup, all that stuff? Is that easy to access?
In a lot of airports in Europe, you have to remove them.
Yes. So yeah, not just have them in a separate bag.
Like freaking out in the corner at the airport, unloading all your shit. Like have it. Honestly, like what we did was...
Especially if you go out on a night you weren't planning on going out and show up at the airport still drunk and almost miss your flight, and now you still have to take all your toiletries out of your bag.
That's a really good point.
You don't want to deal with it.
That maybe happened to us. Also, a lot of the airports actually don't regulate that. You can probably just go through security without doing it.
Yeah. And the ones that do, unlike America, like actually make it really easy for you. Like there's a little station that has baggies.
I mean, you definitely can do it that way for sure.
Next one... research public transportation.
So important.
Don't just rely on like Ubers and shit.
And a lot of cities actually don't have Ubers and Lyft. So
and if you're like us and you don't pay for service while you're gone, then you have the added hoop to jump through of like, okay, I need an Uber. I need to be somewhere where there's Wi-Fi so I can order it.
That's another thing is like I don't think you don't need to pay for what's it called, Wi-Fi service or
international service, buy a SIM card.
That is
none of that.
Not something you need to do.
We don't like being tied to our phones anyway, so it's kind of nice.
You actually are a lot more present because the only thing you can like do on your phone when you don't have Wi-Fi is take pictures and videos, which is the only reason we use it.
And now you can download maps, which is nice. That was the one thing last time where sometimes we would need to like go find a Wi-Fi spot.
Which pretty much every you can sit at a cafe, get Wi-Fi really quick to like pull up your directions or do whatever you need to do, but you don't need to spend a daily fee.
Yes. So save money that way. Take the tube, take the train,
always look into their public transportation. Look on TikTok for best recommended. Look on TikTok to see if there's a reloadable card that would save you money.
Also, take some people's opinions with like grain of salt. Try to figure out their why, especially if they're like anti-public transportation in that place. Because I think you brought up this point the other day. Some people just don't take public transit to begin with. So they're like, oh, it's smelly or it's like
like if it smells like pee, that's just every single...
Yeah, like welcome to a major city.
Yeah, except for the tube. The tube is marvelous.
The tube is fabulous.
A lot of the negative things I've seen about Paris, specifically in the metro, is that it's gross and smells like pee. Okay.
I live in Portland.
Also, like, don't people say all of Paris smells like pee anyway? Yeah. Like, I don't.
That's That's the thing I've heard from most people. They're like, where are you going this summer? I'm like, oh, Paris. They're like, well, just so you know, Paris is really dirty. Okay.
Okay. I'm okay.
All right.
It's fine.
It's a really good idea, especially if you're like somewhere for a decent amount of time, to stop at a little like corner store market and get wine, snacks, maybe like something to make breakfast, just so you're not
fruit maybe
spending money all the time.
That way you're kind of like, okay, in the morning I can make something at home. I'm not spending money. Definitely
helps you
still
get your day started sooner too, because you don't have to go sit down at a restaurant.
You're getting ready to go out, you can have a glass of wine, you're not spending as much out. It's just like if you were pre-gaming at home, same thing, or you're only spending money on one meal a day versus 3.
Okay, and the last but not least, but not most important,
okay,
is if you know you're on a time crunch, look into getting a guided tour at certain places, because that can, most of the time, that helps you to skip the line and can really, really save you some time. That's what we did at the Vatican in Rome. We're going to do that at the Louvre. Like, those are places where you can literally be waiting in line to just get into the museum for hours.
People say at the Louvre, like 4 hours in line.
Yeah. And at the Vatican, it literally wraps around the entirety of the city. No, and Vatican City is not huge, but like a line around the city, that's wild.
We walked straight in. You save hours, and like, this is what, like, you spend money, yes, on the tour, but you're saving time and you learn so much.
Yeah, you're actually hearing about the art you're looking at versus just looking at it and being like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I love it. And this isn't about budgeting, but just like, we are so obsessed. We have to be at the front. Like, I have to be right next to the tour guide so I can ask questions the whole time.
Yes, that's
I want to like talk to them the whole time. It's like, I don't know. It's just
she's
fun.
a major history nerd too. So
I am a huge history nerd. It's, yeah.
Yeah, so especially like if it's a quick turnaround trip like Paris, we're there for less than 3 days. We're not going to spend time waiting in line at the Louvre. Like, we need to be doing other things. Yeah. So,
well, thank you. I hope that helps you plan your next trip.
Yeah.
You can do it. You
travel
can
the world.
Travel, and you can do it on a budget, and you don't have to sacrifice any of the things you want to do.
Guys, I'm a teacher. I'm living proof.
And I was like unemployed for half of this last 2023, and I'm still going, so.
Speaking of which, we're going to go shop for a trip
right now. Yes. So stay tuned for all the Europe deets. Go follow the TikTok, itstimepod. Like, we post a lot of TikToks, travel TikToks on there. And those are super fun. And the YouTube?
What are you saying?
YouTube.
Oh.
Because I was going to say YouTube, it's time, and I said YouTube.
The YouTube.
Our YouTube, if you're watching, you're already here, but subscribe. We're going to post on there as well. And then when we come back, we're going to post an episode on each place we go to. And we get pretty in detail, and it's really fun. And we tell all the stories. Like, we don't hold back. So thank you for watching the It's Time podcast. I'm Mariah. That is Kaylee. We have new episodes every Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. Ciao. Adios.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la.